What conspiracy theories do you think are too logical to ignore? Pretty sure I saw it here on Reddit at one point, but someone brought up the art trade. That these million-dollar art shows, individual pieces that go for insanely high prices, are just a way for money laundering, tax write-off even. So a real estate friend of mine told me that if you made $1 million you should get a painting done. Have a mate who happens to be an art critic or evaluator value the piece at $50K, then donate that piece to charity stating its value. That allows you to claim a deductible of $50K towards your taxable income due to your charitable donation. Genius. Some torture devices such as the Iron Maiden were made up hundreds of years later, so people would think, well, a regular hangin' ain't too bad then. This is literally true as far as the Iron Maiden. I'm pretty sure one of the Simon Whistler things talked about this like last week. This one is small and local but still too insane to ignore and just came up today. Just recently, our small suburban town's favorite gas station went out of business. Everyone went there. The guy who ran it was the mayor. He retires and sells the property after an issue with the ground underneath the gas pumps. They tear down the gas pumps and keep the garage. Mavis Tire bought the property and opened a new store. A few days after the Mavis opens, someone posts a picture on Facebook of an intersection at a road near it with nails all over the road. The guy the Roysies that a box of nails fell off of a construction truck. The police come clean it up and it seems all is well. Fast forward a few days later and people are commenting on the post that they're finding nails in their car tires. Not just from that intersection. People jokingly say maybe it was the new Mavis guys throwing nails around, but nothing really happens. Several weeks later, people have been posting day in and day out pictures of nails in their car tires. My dad took my car into the Mavis in question about 3 weeks ago and they found a nail inside of the right front tire. I noticed that it was driving sort of funny but never that my tire was on the verge of exploding. I jokingly said, people have been saying you guys have just been going around throwing nails all over the place, trying not to laugh at how insane it sounded to say out loud. The guy behind the counter said nothing but, yeah, with a weird smirk. Over 50 people have posted on the town Facebook that their cars have had nails in their tires. My mom is driving my car now because her car has a nail in the tire. It's been almost 3 months. I'll post updates if anyone is interested. Edit. It totally might not be Mavis. There isn't any proof right now, and there are other possible reasons for the nails, but the timing is too perfect to ignore. Edit 2. Apparently this is a huge deal in foreign countries. PFFT, it's not even a joke, it's the truth. It sounds like it makes no sense. Nails? Dude, if an investigation is launched and they find a bunch of nails inside of the shop, can't they lose business? David Miscavige, the chairman of the Church of Scientology, definitely murdered his wife and is getting off scot-free for it. Him and his wife got into a pretty heated argument in 2007, and she hasn't been seen since. Lawyers hired by David claim she is still alive and devotes 100% of her time to work at the Church of Scientology, which is why she hasn't been seen since August 2007. In 2013, a former member of the church had filed a missing person report that was closed after a few officers had spoken and seen Mrs. Miscavige, even though there's no evidence whatsoever of this meeting. All missing persons reports now are turned down since this investigation is forever closed. Leah Remini has had it investigated as well and written letters to Shelley with no response. Before Leah left the church, she wrote letters to Shelley that the church refused to deliver, and when she asked where Shelley was, she was told she didn't have clearance to ask that question. The lead cop that was tasked to investigate when Leah filed a missing persons report, apparently after he came back with the "she's totally fine and just doesn't want to be seen" story. Leah found pictures of that cop speaking at a Scientology event. So crooked, amazed that I haven't seen mentioned. Exposed the CIA for assisting in drug trafficking and commit suicide with 2 bullets to the head. Worst case of suicide I've ever seen. It worked so well he shot himself a second time. Kennedy gets elected too. Kennedy is critical of the CIA, his own VP and military for wanting to turn the Cold War into a hot one and the willingness to perform false flag operations to do it. Kennedy is shot 4. His VP takes power 5. That Debbie that used to work in accounting stole the succulent I had on my office desk. She always made comments about how much she loved it. Then she quit her job here and I come into work the next day and it's mysteriously nowhere to be found. Haven't seen it since. Came to the thread to say this one, so glad someone already did. Let me introduce you to #Wankapiercer, the theory that Oscar-winning director Bong Joon-ho made a sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with his 2012 film Snowpiercer. This theory is, in my mind, 100% true. The characters and plotlines just line up too well for it not to be. Dr. Claus Inspector Gadget. Edit. Dr. Claus human inspector and Inspector Gadget is obviously a younger clone of him. Explain. The FBI keeps posting questions like this to see what the public knows. Edit. Why did this do well? U.S. intelligence conducting organized blackmail operations out of Epstein's Island. The prosecutor handling Epstein's old case was told to back off and go easy because Epstein was intelligence. Acosta's departure from the administration confirmed that this was not just a rumor. So as an American, I would really like to know exactly who is blackmailing who, how far it extended, and what political decisions were affected. The Denver airport theory. I mean, the capstone of the building literally has the Freemason logo on it. There's some weird apocalypse murals on the walls. The runways look like a swastika, and there's a 50-foot tall horse statue with red glowing eyes. I mean, seriously, who designed that place? Building the airport cost $3 billion more than expected, and the labor was piecemealed out through countless contractors, so nobody who built it knows the full scope of it. Oh, and the 50-foot tall horse statue with red glowing eyes killed its creator. Dia's a weird place. NGT. Oh, and the 50-foot tall horse statue with red glowing eyes that killed its creator. That thing is like straight out of South Park. Nutley NJ, where Martha Stewart was born, has a butcher shop every other corner. How much meat does one small blue-collar town need? Suspicious. This gives me hot fuzz vibes lol. Some people had to talk about Fight Club, otherwise, it wouldn't exist. Tyler Durden instructing people to not talk about Fight Club isn't aimed at getting them to stop talking about Fight Club, it's teaching them to break rules. Or at least, that's how I always thought of it. That karma on Reddit really does nothing. That's exactly the thing I hate about a Reddit. Karma makes being active on Reddit a competition. A competition with no reward. Probably too late to this thread, but the idea that there are too many chicken wings for the amount of chicken sold. There's something like 1 billion chicken wings sold every Super Bowl. Where are they coming from? Well, you technically get 4 wings from every bird, so 1 chicken equals 4 wings. So 2020 Super Bowl had 25 billion wings divided by 4, and that's 312,500,000 chickens. 9 billion chickens are eaten in the US, so it really needs to be asked, where are the other 34,750,000,000 chicken wings? Ooh, time to sort by controversial. Guys, I know this is a really crazy theory, but I think some rich people might be corrupt. McDonald's shake machines are never actually down. The night crew people are just too lazy to clean it. That's usually the case from what I've been told by people who I know that work at McDonald's. They're basically like, it's a giant pain in the to clean and it takes literal hours to do. That's why he was the talent in the Jackson family, and why there were rumors that he was Evan Ross's father. Smokey would have been 18 and Diana 14 years old when Michael was born, so Berry Gordy arranged to have the kid given to his old boxing buddy and fellow musician from Chicago, Joe Jackson, who he would fund, leading to the formation of the Jackson 5. Joe had a big family where Michael would get everything he needs while training him to be an entertainer, and Motown could protect their image by taking the child out of the picture. It turns out the kid is a talent, and as we all know, the Jackson 5 make it to Motown. But even before that, there were several documented instances of Diana Ross and Gary, Indiana, such as at a school talent show where the Jackson 5 performed. She has said multiple times on live television that Michael is her baby child, says she's doing it all for him, and joked about him playing her son in a future movie. She has also said publicly she was in love with Smokey Robinson growing up, living on the same street as him in Detroit, which is odd because he had a girlfriend during that time who he later married. Diana also changed high schools around the time Michael was conceived. She was going to a new school to be a seamstress Doris and Smokey also enrolled in an engineering college around this time, because they were soon to be parents and Motown hadn't broke big yet. A decade later, the Jackson 5 auditioned for Motown in Detroit, then did a second performance at a Motown get-together at Barry's house, and Michael has stated that at that point Diana told them she wanted to take special interest in their career. There's a movie called Double Platinum which stars Diana Ross and is about how she gave up her kid for her career and later reveals to the kid she's her mother when she sees that the kid has talent, then goes on to help her with her career, which would parallel the real-life story with Michael. Her daughter in the movie also wears a dress that has the same design as the shirt Michael wore for Billie Jean at Motown 25. It's written by Michael in his autobiography Moonwalk that he and the Jacksons lived with Diana Ross in Hollywood Hills when the Jackson 5 first signed to Motown and moved to LA, and her and Michael used to go out almost every day, just the two of them. This would have been when Diana Ross revealed to Michael she's his mom. He would have been about 10 years old, and that's why he became quiet and shy from then on. Smokey Robinson also stated when he was leaving the Larry King interview shortly after Michael passed away that one of his fondest memories of Michael was when he used to go golfing at the age of 10 or 11 with him and Bobby Taylor, who is said to have discovered the Jackson 5 even though their first album at Motown was presented by Diana Ross. This was also what Michael meant in the song Billie Jean when this happened much too soon. She called me to her room. Diana was the one who said, "I am the one, but the kid is not my son." She meant, "I am your mother but you're not my son. You're a Jackson now." Diana Ross is Billie Jean. This is also what the song Dirty Diana is about. It's about Diana Ross, the groupie who seduces Smokey Robinson, who she grew up on the same street as, conceiving Michael. Then there's the song Who Is It, which is about a mystery person who abandoned Michael, and in the music video he holds a card that says, Diana. The song Wanna Be Starred and Something also talks about how if you can't beat her baby, then don't have a baby, and again refers to the mystery Billie Jean character. He references Ain't No Mountain High Enough in the song Leave Me Alone and says Don't You Come Walking Back in Back, Mama. He also references Ain't No Mountain High Enough in the songs Baby Be Mine, Speechless, and Keep the Faith. This is also why you see a weird sexual dynamic between Michael Jackson and Diana Ross, but you will never actually see a picture or video of them making out. Recently a video surfaced of Diana Ross singing You Are Not Alone to Katherine Jackson, just like how she probably used to sing Ain't No Mountain High Enough to Michael when he was living with her. This is seen in the aforementioned movie Double Platinum as well. Diana sings her lost daughter to sleep with a famous song, and in TMZ's video, the last time we saw Joe Jackson, an old senile Joe says, "I raised Michael, he's my son, and Quincy Jones knows better. I don't talk about it, no way." He's defending the supposed fact that Michael is his son for a seemingly unknown reason, and even in past interviews he always emphasized he's a Jackson. After MJ's death, Joe, when interviewed, said he was doing great. Meanwhile, Smokey Robinson went on the Larry King Show and praised MJ as an artist. This theory explains why Michael not only has the in, but also explains why he's an amp, and why he was a musical prodigy who had the stage presence and songwriting abilities of his real parents, as well as having a very soft voice, which both Smokey and Diana have in common. You can see how much different his eyes look from his brothers and how much they look like Ross' eyes. Now you can see why his personality developed the way it did. It's why he acted like an orphan and called himself Peter Pan and built Neverland to help disadvantaged kids. Why he isolated himself from his family and could never manage to have a normal relationship with women. It absolutely explains why he had such a severe identity crisis. And it explains why Diana Ross is second to Katherine Jackson in his will regarding who would take care of his children, and why Joe Jackson has been known to dislike Diana Ross. At Michael Jackson's public memorial, the first person that comes out is Smokey Robinson reading a letter from Diana Ross, who writes that she's mourning so hard that she cannot attend the memorial, and that Michael was part of the fabric of her life. When Smokey speaks about MJ later, he calls him his little brother, which would imply blood relative. In the movie Hitsville, USA, The Making of Motown, Berry Gordy jokes with Smokey about how some of the babies that the groupies were having were his, and that MJ reminded him of a little Smokey. Also, the movie An American Dream was about the Jackson 5 and would have been propaganda to reinforce the cover-up story. So, it wasn't that Michael was ever trying to look like Diana Ross like people thought. He was actually displaying features and mannerisms that he inherited from her. In one of the clips below, she says he has the same features, skin tone, and bone structure as her. Now you might say, well, Janet looks a lot like MJ, but growing up in his shadow, she adopted many of his mannerisms and used makeup and plastic surgery to replicate his appearance, but their vanity was merely deception. Joe and Barry branded and marketed the Jacksons a certain way to make Michael seem related, such as with the matching outfits and afros. But if you look at their features, it's clear the only similarity to Michael is the way they smile. MJ has much more defined features and is rail thin like Diana Ross, and his nose and chin match Smokey's. Now it's clear why Joe told him he had a fat nose and singled him out so much with the abuse. This theory is from a YouTube channel called. I also created a subreddit with further info on the topic called An American Scheme.